What's going on, everybody? And thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Man Up Real Talk podcast. I am your host with the most, Mr. Mike Wiley, saying greetings and salutations to all of you, our faithful followers and listeners. Look, y'all already know we appreciate every like, every share, every click, every download, and whatever it is that you do to support this podcast, because we know that had it not been for you, wouldn't be no us. So we thank you and we appreciate y'all. Now, for those of y'all that may be joining us for the first time, I want to say welcome and thank you. And for those that's going to be hanging out with us, this ain't your first rodeo. We say welcome back, because your boys is back on the air with the Man Up Real Talk podcast, the podcast for the people. And joining me as always is my right hand, Mr. Philip Hines, aka Mr. Classic, aka OG Triple OG, who is always and definitely in the building. What's going on, man?
What's good, brother? How you doing?
It's Friday, fam. It's another Friday. It's another episode of Man Up. So I'm feeling pretty good. Can't complain. Can't complain at all. Can't complain at all. What's going on your end?
Nothing, man. Chilling. Had a long day. I was trying to get some rest up before we pod, and then I'm gonna hit this all-night prayer thing a little later on.
What?
A couple hours.
You going to talk to Jesus?
I'm gonna hit it for a couple hours. I ain't gonna be there all night, but I'm here for a couple hours.
You gonna go ahead and hit it for?
Yeah.
You gonna go ahead and hit it for a couple hours? Yeah. All right. I've never heard anyone quite talk about hitting all night prayer, but you know it is what it is.
But you know what hitting mean. I'm gonna go and hit them, slide through there for a minute. You know,
I'm just saying you talking about all night prayer like it's a little side chicken. Yeah, man, I'm finna go and finna slide through this prayer real quick, you know.
Talk like about to hit the club.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, I'm finna go over here and hang out for a couple hours, and I'm gonna come on back to the crib, you know.
Yeah, go and give me a couple prayers in, man, for a couple hours.
Finna go talk to Jesus for a little bit, and I'm gonna head on back to the crib.
Yeah.
Listen, man. I think we got an interesting episode today. Trying to see was any announcements that I wanted to make. Not really. Oh, listen. Last weekend of the month, fellas, we're having like this men's weekend.
Yeah.
Gonna have service on Friday night. We have a guest speaker, Mr. Terrell Edwards. I don't have the flyer. Phil, why don't you have the flyer, man?
Hold on a minute, man.
This is why I say, see, this is why you don't let black people produce your stuff. Because ain't nothing ever ready. Ever.
I can see you. You want me to see the flyer? See the flyer?
I don't want you to send me the flyer. The flyer should have been ready. It should have been up, and we should have been able to show it. That's what we should have did. But now it ain't here. Here you go, right here. I got it.
See, that's what I'm saying. Quit playing with me, man. Quit playing.
I got it. That's right here.
No. Well, I can't stand you, man.
You know, it's
I can't stand this.
I swear for Lord, it's like you just make things more
difficult. You do all that flyer. Hold on, wait a minute. I got it.
It's right here. Yeah, it's right here. It's right here. So look, you got it's called Men on Purpose Weekend. It's going to be held at Faith, Hope, and Charity. That's at 731. No, not 731.
351 West 71st Street.
351 West 71st Street. And that's in Chicago, Illinois. So if you're in Chicago, if you ain't got nothing to do that weekend, man, we encourage you to come on by. We got guest speaker Terrell Edwards. He's going to be out on Friday night. And then Saturday. Listen, Saturday is going to be dope because we got a men's brunch on that. We got a men's brunch on that day. Now, here's the cool thing. Not only are we having a brunch, but we're doing a live show on site. We're doing a live show on site, so y'all can come on out, be part of the audience, ask questions, interact, all of that good stuff, man. So listen, Saturday is gonna be dope. And then, to continue the fellowship, we're gonna do a little bowling later on that afternoon. So if you're into the bowling, or if you just want to hang out, drink some pop, eat some pizza, and talk about people who can't bowl like I do, come and hang out with us as we bowl. And then on Sunday afternoon, we got guest speaker Pastor Larry Sarden. He's going to come through. So look, it's going to be a really, 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 really dope weekend. So if you guys are not doing anything, I am giving you an official invitation to come and hang out with your boys. and I think you're going to have a good time. Eddie said he's going to ask questions. What's going on, Eddie? I appreciate you, man.
brother.
So yeah, it's going to be we're going to have a good time. But look, I don't want to drag this on any longer than I don't have to. I for those of y'all that been living under a rock for the last I don't know ever. June is Pride Month. Well, it's also Black Music Month, but it's Pride Month as well. And I don't do stuff to check boxes, but I do try to. I'm at a point in my life now where I want to try to just have just a better understanding of things and people and myself. And the guest that we have on is one of our listeners,
one of our
faithfuls, and we've talked outside of the podcast. And I always said, "Listen, man, we're gonna have to have this conversation." And he's like, "Yeah, man, just whenever, just bring me on." And I'm like, "All right, I'm bring you on." I've been saying it for a while, so I reached out to him like short notice too, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm there." I'm like, "Cool." And I wanted to have this conversation. And I want to preface this by saying that this is not to be showing face or anything like this, right? But the conversation is to really get a better understanding, because you have to understand my upbringing when it comes to homosexuality and LBGT and I am considered what most Gen Zers would call I'll be considered an old head, right? And I came up in a time where you didn't talk about that stuff.
No.
If it was somebody that was gay in your family, they didn't talk about them.
No, they had a friend.
They had if they came to the party with they had a special friend. But you didn't really hear people talk about that family member much. So there wasn't really a lot of communication when it came to that. And when I was coming up, I came up in that era, whereas if you cut yourself, they told you to rub some dirt on it. You bet not cry, so those things were ingrained in my psyche. And so that's the lens in how I view things, right? I view things from what some would consider to be a man's perspective, a heterosexual man's perspective. On the flip side of that coin, though, I'm not blind to the things that's going on around me. And I believe that a lot of our biases and a lot of our ideas and our just how we see things is curated by our upbringing, and a lot of times it can be misconstrued, and so to get a better understanding of those things, it's good to have those type of conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to bring this young man on because I think he has an interesting perspective, an interesting point of view, and above all, I know he's going to be honest. When I, whatever it is that we talk about, because I have no idea. There is no planned questions. This is just free for all conversation.
Yeah, it's just conversation tonight.
But it's conversation to get to know and to get a better understanding. So to not delay it anymore, I want to bring our guest on today, Mr. Eric, sir.
How's it going?
Man, it's going great, man. I appreciate you being brave enough to
what's going on, Eric?
To come on.
What's going on, Phil?
Yeah, I appreciate you being brave enough to come on and hang out with us on tonight, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great to be on the show. We've been talking about this for a while, like you said. So, it's great to be on here and provide, some of my views on the LGBT community. As you guys know, I post in here with my jokes and my comments, but I actually do see a lot of stuff that needs addressing within the community and more education throughout overall, because it is a really hot topic, and so it does need to be talked about, and people need to be aware of what's going on within this community.
Okay. So I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know where to begin. Well, let's start from the beginning. First of all, how old are you?
How old am I?
Yeah, how old are you?
37.
Oh,
Okay,
he
so you,
young. Yeah, he
yeah, you. I
young.
mean, he ain't
He
young, but
young. He young. He young.
40 is like looking around the corner, like, hey, Eric, I see you. You know what I'm saying? So, but he's still, for most
Mhm.
accounts, he's a young man. So, when did your journey begin? Was this something that um was there from the jump? Was it something that you discovered later on in life? Like where did your journey start?
Yeah, it started with me like from a very young age. Just going, and there's debate on that too, as far as can people be born homosexual or have these different urges. I think it
Mm-hmm.
depends on the environment that people are exposed to, and how they grew up. For me, it was started at a very young age. Having an experience with a kid my age, probably around 7 or 8. So it happened
Mm-hmm.
at a very young age. And so, I took that experience with me growing up. That was really the only thing I knew. I had girlfriends in high school, but that was just for showmanship, because it wasn't really cool. Because I went to school in 2000s, right? It wasn't really
Yeah,
cool to
Oh
be
man.
yeah, 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 yeah,
to
yeah.
Yeah.
be to be gay then. So I had the girlfriends and stuff like that. We never did anything sexual or anything like that, but it was out there, the kissing and stuff like that. But my
Mhm.
real thing was always with guys and trying to explore that. Growing up in a world where it wasn't cool. Not now how like it is today, where it's almost I don't know if I would define it as cool, but it's a lot more acceptable.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think that the straight community has been kind of chastised if you don't kind of get on board with what's going on in the gay community. And so, going from that kind of position to where we are today, it's a big jump. It's a huge jump,
Mhm.
and we've moved very far. I think in some aspects, and I've kind of voiced my opinions on here. As you guys know, I think it's gone a little bit too far, and we can talk about that in a moment. But for instance, I was just watching Piers Morgan, and they were having this debate as far as, and I know you probably already know what I'm going to say, Mike. They were having a debate, as far as transsexuals and being in, playing women's sports.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Listen.
you have this panel up here, and a lot of people still believe this, where trans women are women and all that other stuff. And it's one of those things where, and although a lot of the stuff I'm going to say really goes against my community, I don't think we should all be grouped together to start with. But
Okay.
the other thing is that I'm very traditional. I have a lot of conservative. I'm not really a liberal or conservative. I kind of float in between the two. But if somebody asked me, even my own community, are trans women women? No, they're not. They're biological males, and they're competing in a sport where they have unfair advantage. We split up the sports for a reason, because men are just built differently from women, and no matter how many hormones you take, you're
Mhm.
always going to have an unfair advantage. One of the things I saw that's going around is you don't really see it the other way around as far as the sports. You don't see women going into transitioning to men and playing men's sports. And why?
Right.
Because they would get destroyed, annihilated. So we,
Mhm.
we have a characteristic, and science tells us that men are men and women are women. We have different hormones, we have different muscle capacity and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And so, going back to we can identify as whatever we want to, but at the end of the day, I think science always is going to win.
We talked about that, we joke about it and everything, and but it is one of those things. And also in regards to you mentioned something earlier about how back in some years ago how it wasn't really accepted, and now it really is more mainstream, and it is almost as if like the heterosexual community is almost shunned, like if we don't
Mhm.
get on board or accept it, like because I've always been of the mindset of live and let live, right?
Mhm.
And even though I may not necessarily agree with the lifestyle, I'm not one to like I'm not finna try to condemn you or to try to make you feel like you're less than a person because of the choice that you make, right? And I think that's kind of where society is that they try to make you feel as if you don't get with this, then there is something wrong with you, instead of just going in with the attitude like, okay, you don't agree with it, that's fine, but this is who I am, and as long as you treat me like a person, I'm fine. But it's like sometimes, man, I be feeling like, you know, like in regards to trans, it's almost as if like, no, you have to get on board with how I'm feeling, otherwise you're the bad guy. And I don't like that, that aspect of it. If you feel like you're a woman and you want to dress like women, you go right on the head, but don't expect me to participate in it. I think it was Dave Chappelle one time. He even said, he was like, how much of your reality do I need to participate in? You know what I mean? And that's something that I'm just like, man, he put that so well. It's just like, you want me to mess up my whole pronoun game to appease you. And it's like, come on, that's not fair, so that's kind of where that is. So, okay, so you said that this started with you for a young age.
Mm-hmm.
Was there ever because I can't imagine, well, I hear the stories, or I've heard the stories, especially with.
So
go ahead.
So yeah, before you ask that question, I want to address some things that you said, Mike. One of the things is that you hear the saying history kind of repeats itself, or now actually the new saying is history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And we kind of see from the LGBT community, we hate when people put on our beliefs, especially when it deals with Christians, try to force their beliefs on us. And so now here's the time is the roles have reversed, and it seems like we're trying to force our beliefs on other people. And so if we don't take what we see in the past, as far as, I wouldn't appreciate somebody doing that to me, trying to force their beliefs. Why are we trying to force the beliefs on other people? You mentioned Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle is, I think I posted a few things about him, because he's been, as you guys know, he's been going back and forth with the LGBT community. They don't like his jokes and all this other stuff. But it's my thing with that is, number one, he's a comedian, right? He makes fun of a lot of people and a lot of different white people, black people, women, all this other stuff, right? You laugh about that, but when it comes to targeting us, oh, that's off limits. Well, no, it shouldn't be off limits. It's kind of like the umbrella effect. You shouldn't, we shouldn't be excluded from being made fun of, or just kind of asking those questions. Why does the community do this and that and the other? Those are actually good questions, and they can be forms of jokes. And we take those and we get angry. I say we, just my community, even though, like I said, I don't believe we shouldn't be lumped in together. But it's one of those things where we've gotten to this thing where, cancel culture. If you don't like what we're saying or what we're doing, then you should be canceled. And it's like, no, that's unacceptable. We have the freedom of speech in this country. People are allowed to say what they're going to say. And just because you don't like it, okay, well, then don't listen to it. But at the end of the day, if you guys saw one of the times Dave Chappelle actually got attacked by a transsexual on stage. They roughed. She, whoever that was, Dave Chappelle's security guards roughed that person up.
Oh yeah.
I think you could see their arm had
they broke.
I think they broke his arm or something.
It was bad. But here's the thing: is like, why were you there in the first place? You were enjoying yourself and you made a joke that you didn't like, so you would get up on stage and act a fool. And this is why kind of the thing is like a lot of the society is kind of turning against our community because of these things. You have to do as we say and not as we do, right? You have to accept our culture and we look at the transsexuals reading to kids and stuff like that, and people freaking out saying why is that? From my point of view, that's absolutely unacceptable to be reading to children and drag and stuff like that. So and I don't have a problem with drag queens, like I'm saying, it's but those type of venues are for adults, right? If parents want to take their kids to those type of venues, that's their prerogative. But don't bring that to my school, because that is not a collective thing that all parents are on board with. And we need to respect that as a culture and as a community, and we don't.
Mike, let me say something real quick, Mike.
Go ahead, man.
Earlier, you had said something about with the whole LGBTQ that you feel you didn't like that you all was grouped. Could you expound on that a little bit for me?
Yeah, well, it's when I say grouped, it's one of those things where just because like my opinion is not, if you ask a lot of people in the LGBT community what the stuff I'm saying now, they would totally disagree. And why are you saying this stuff? And you don't like homosexuals reading to kids, or drags reading to kids and stuff like that. And you're saying there's two sexes, men and a woman. And my point of view is I don't aspire to be a woman. I don't identify as a woman. Now, if you want to identify as a woman, that's on you. But, when you group us together, it's almost like I should be on board with whatever that agenda is. And I'm not. And I think we're all expected to be on board because we're all grouped together, right? It's kind of like it's kind of like one of those things where I'm going to take your gay card away because you don't agree with everything you're doing, and I'm the problem because I'm in my own community, and I say these things that just make sense. I say things from a scientific perspective, and so when I say we're all grouped together, it's one of those things where I'm just supposed to believe whatever the community espouses. I've made a joke on here. Some of the stuff I say on here is like, well, I didn't get any email, I didn't get any notes whenever there's some new updates or some new letter added to the thing. And it's just like, who's making these decisions? And why is it that because people ask me, Eric, what you guys are adding? What do you mean, you guys?
They take Eric's car together. For sure, Mike. They taking this car for sure.
No, but look,
us together.
I understand, because every time I look up somebody trying to take my black card, and I'm like, just because I don't like chitlins, I mean, it's like, come on, man. Because I don't play spades or dominoes.
But that's crazy though, Mike. How even in their community, like just how all black folks get grouped together when something happens.
Like we're all supposed to have like this hive mind.
That's everyone. You're in a certain group, you're going to get grouped together.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say a lot of the, and I don't want to say outrage, but a lot of the well, it is in a sense with the trans community is how aggressive they are in regards to accept me, accept what I'm saying, and accept this. And it's just like, but what you're saying, it just goes against everything that makes sense, right? I'm not saying that you can't feel the way that you feel, but scientifically speaking, if I say that as a transgender man, and I think I always get confused. Okay, so when you're a man, so as a trans woman, if I tell you that you can never be an actual woman, why is it that you would get offended by that? Because you don't have the reproductive organs as a woman. Mm-hmm. There are just things that you will never have and never be able to do that a biologically born woman can do. And for some reason, it's just like they will get up in arms about that. But like, I am a woman. Well, I mean, that's a matter of perception, And so it's always like, and it's that constant. You have to accept it. You have to accept it. You will accept it. And it's just like, no, I don't. I really don't. I respect you, but I don't have to accept what you're saying. And so it's crazy how a lot of that is it's crazy how that's perceived as being a bad thing, like because I don't agree with it. And it's just like I don't think that's fair. And it's and also as a black man, I think it's kind of bogus because it's just I look at how we fought for things over the years and how hard it's been for us to for laws and things to be worked out in our favor. And here you guys come along and you cry a little bit and it's like your feelings get hurt and they move the world for you. And you got to understand, like, and you should. And so it's like, yeah, I feel a certain way. And it's crazy how sometimes they don't see it. But then it's also the stuff like how like I didn't joke about this, but I mean it's serious when you look at what's my man Phil the triathlon dude Bruce Jenner. Or what is he now? Is he Caitlyn now?
Like Caitlyn, yeah, Caitlyn.
Okay, so he's Caitlyn now, right? This guy somehow, after having his surgery, was nominated as Woman of the Year
Mhm.
by whatever magazine it was. And I was a little bothered by that. Because I'm like, out of all of the great women in the world, you decided to put Caitlyn Jenner on the cover of your magazine as Woman of the Year.
Yeah, but
And
that
he
comes
has-
down to that comes down to high people in high places, Mike. With
Yeah,
all
but I'm
that.
like, he wasn't even a woman for 6 months.
Yeah,
And it's
but
like,
that's-
how was he a Woman of the Year?
That's totally high people's in high places, and you know,
What?
his people's in high positions where he can be put in position to be Woman of the Year.
That's to me, that's the type of stuff that gets me. You know,
Yeah,
and then go ahead.
Yeah, what's ironic about that was, as far as Caitlyn Jenner, is that she, I guess I'll say, she herself
Gotta
does
use the
not
right
believe.
pronoun.
Yeah,
They're gonna
yeah.
cancel us if you don't.
You say the right pronoun.
She-
She herself does not. She actually shares the same view as I do, as far as females being in, or transsexuals being in, playing in women's sports or men's sports and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
she doesn't actually agree with that. So for her being awarded for something as a woman is kind of ironic. But I wanted to touch base on a few other things. One of the things that you know, with because we do, as a culture, as a community, still go through a lot of stuff, you know, experiences and stuff like that. Depending on where you're at, you know, if you're in, you know, Utah or Nebraska, you probably don't want to be walking down the street holding hands with another guy. So there's still certain things that we have to be cognizant of as a community, but we've gotten so accustomed to, especially in these major cities, you know, Chicago, where you guys are at, Los Angeles, where I'm at, New York. We've gotten accustomed to this type of lifestyle where you can do that, and you should be able to do that. Hold hands with, or kiss, or do. I personally don't like public displays of affection, but I know a lot of people do, and I don't mind to see that thing. But we do have to be cognizant and aware that stuff does happen.
Okay,
And for me,
I have a question. So go ahead and
yeah.
finish what you were saying. But I definitely have this one is kind of a goofy question, but it's a question. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And then for me, you know, being in an interracial couple, you know, even in straight couples, there are some things that people struggle with, and you know, kind of look down upon, especially if you're a black man with a white woman. And so for my community, it's not as bad as it's kind of not really looked at when you're an interracial relationship in our community, if you're within our community. So like straight people probably don't. You know, I used to make a joke saying, you know, back when I was a demo, well, back when I was not as knowledgeable as I am now, I make a joke saying, you know, 3 strikes you're out. Either you hate me because I'm black, you hate me because I'm gay, or you hate me because I'm in an interracial relationship. And so it's one of those things where that those things are still out there. We have to be aware of them, and I think we're focusing on the wrong thing as a community, because those things are out there, and when we focus on the wrong things, a lot of that stuff that is out there that we need to be aware of aren't taken into consideration, and it's really bastardizing our community in general.
You know what's crazy, Eric? You was in the military, right?
Mm-hmm. I served with Eddie.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that too. Look,
Yeah,
Eddie said I have no issue with Eric
I'm
being.
moving ahead too much.
You want to hear, but it's all good. No, he said I don't have an issue with Eric being gay, but I wish he wasn't so annoying. So look, here's my goofy question, because I know that there are some within the gay community that you don't even know that they're gay until they just come out and tell you, right? But then you have those that are like really, really what's the word I'm looking for?
Flaming out there.
Like, okay,
Let him say it. Let him say it,
I
Mike.
wasn't
Let
gonna
him
say
say it.
flaming, but flamboyant.
Yeah, say
I mean,
flamboyant.
yeah, flamboyant. We'll go with that. And they
Barry
just
said
really,
flaming.
really gay. Do you guys look at them and be like, "Oh my God, he is so gay," or is it just like, turn it down some, like, or it's just like, it is what it is? Because I know when I see him, I just be like, man, he is just doing so much. Like, I get it, you gay, and but
I had a
bro,
relative that was gay. He couldn't stand flamboyant gay people. And he
really,
was gay himself. He couldn't stand flamboyant gay people.
That's crazy.
The ironic thing that's a good question, and it's kind of like a conundrum, because with a lot of gay guys, they want a guy for a guy. The typical straight acting butch guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
See,
so
that's another question. Oh my God. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I knew that.
Yeah, and so it's a conundrum, because it's like a lot of guys want that, and they're attracted to those type of guys. But when you have a large group of people that's attracted to those type of guys, there's not a whole lot of room for, you end up with two feminine guys. And so everybody's clamoring for who they would say is the straight acting guy. Like a lot of gays, they would look at me and say, "Oh, Eric is really straight acting. I like that." And so you have gays who are attracted to guys, but not a whole lot of guys that act like guys, as far as we have determined what a guy should act like, very manly and butch. And so it's kind of a catch-22, a kind of conundrum within the gay community. But no, that's a really great question.
That's amazing. Okay, here's the second stupid question.
It's not stupid.
No, this is a stupid question. Okay, so those of us in the straight community, like when we would see something that was off, or or whatever, we'd be like, "Man, that's gay." Are you guys offended like by that? Because it's almost as if we're using it as a way of describing something that's
it's derogatory
wrong, or derogatory, or is it something that is just, or does that not even, like, have you ever even thought about that? Because I think about it from time to time, because I'll be out in public and just be talking and stuff like that, and I'll just say something like, "Man, that's gay," and not really thinking that it's people around, and I don't know if you know what I'm saying. So it's like, when you hear that, is that something that you take offense to, number one? And then number two, if you do take offense to it, what is a word that you would prefer us to use to describe something that's gay?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a lot of the gay community probably does find that. Well, actually, I do know people that do find that offensive. For me, I'm kind of unique in that, being in the serving with Eddie in the military, I hear that on a daily, probably hourly basis, right? So I've kind of got tone deaf to it, and actually, I even found myself saying it myself, right? Because you kind of get.
Oh my God.
Well, I mean, it's just like, it's almost like the I won't say it on here, but the N word, you use that around your family, and you kind of get associated to using it.
Yeah.
And so if you're around with a bunch of,
after a while, you're going to start saying it.
Eventually you start saying it too, right? And so it doesn't really become offensive to you. But like I said, it's unique for me, being in that situation, where I know a lot of people haven't been in that situation, especially kids nowadays. I call them kids, but young adults. Growing up nowadays, they would probably do find that type of stuff offensive. And so I guess I would try to refrain from saying those things if from a straight perspective out in public, because you could end up offending somebody. Yeah. But I think for the go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, it's just something that like the N word, and I have actually been putting into practice trying to say that word less. And really Eddie kind of put that on me. It was just like, because we had the conversation about the N-word and how people are like, "Oh, we took the power away from it," when we really didn't, but it was like, I find myself now, although I still would just randomly say it, I don't know why. I'll be watching something.
I noticed something though, Mike. We don't say it as much as we used to say it.
No, now
That
part of
word
that is
ninja,
because
that word ninja, I watch the replays. That word ninja is being used way more than
yeah. But that's on purpose.
yeah.
And it's because I was made aware that it was something that we and it was and the crazy thing is that I know when I'm using the word. It's not like I didn't know, but I guess I didn't realize how much I used it. And so I had to change that up. And listen, I'm not perfect. I still say it. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely say it less than than I used to. Although I will be watching something randomly, and like I'll watch something random, and it'll just be something. So I'll be like, "This, you know," I'll say it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. We see some dumb stuff like
Yeah. You see, but
Yeah.
that's the same thing with the word. That's the same thing with saying, "Man, that's gay," you know, and so both of those technically are derogatory terms. So it's just I was just curious about that because it's like I don't want to be, I don't want to offend anybody, like
No.
like not intentionally. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, I wasn't trying to be offensive. It's just my upbringing. It's like that's just how we express. That was the slang that we used to express something that was awful or silly or whatever the case may have been. It was like, or even some of your buddies, you'd be like, dude, that's gay. You know, just something that they did that wasn't right. So
Thank a little boy named Riley.
I mean, yeah, because I think, I mean, we are a product of our environment. So, you know, a good example for me is, you know, I would go, when I was living with my parents in Virginia, I would go down to North Carolina for the summer to visit my grandparents. And, you know, they have their brothers and my aunts and uncles down there. And so every time I would come back from being in North Carolina, I would come back with a country accent. And my mother was like, where you only was down there for 2 or 3 months and you got this
where you
big
get
old
this
heavy
drawl
country.
from?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey y'all, what's going
Yeah.
on? It's like,
Hey, Bob, what you doing over yonder? Stuff like that. And so we really are a product of our environment. So, you know, and the same thing for a ship life. You know, Eddie, like I said, Eddie was on here. So I served with him in the Navy, and so we were one of the last, actually, one of the last all male crews in the Navy. So
really?
so yeah, the only females they had on board was officers, which about 2 or 3, but the rest was an all male ship. And so if you can imagine the type of language in the early 2000s in an all male ship would people use that, you know, that's so gay. Every other word is a curse word out of your mouth. And so I became accustomed to that.
My brother-in-law was in the Navy, and when the word term "cuss like a sailor,"
they mean it.
He literally did.
They mean it.
Like
I can't imagine Eddie cussing like. Did
Eddie didn't? No, Eddie didn't.
Oh,
cuss.
okay.
Yeah, Eddie didn't cuss, but he did get angry.
Men can talk that talk though, Mike.
Oh, look, I know
it can be just a regular conversation, but you're gonna get about 4 or 5 MF.
I told you, my dad owned a lounge, and he used to have, and there used to be some military guys that would come through.
Yeah,
and they had some very colorful language.
They some cussers.
So, in regards to your Navy life, what was that like? Was it, you know, was it the don't ask, don't tell type of thing, or was it more open? Was it more acceptable? Like, what was your military life like?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I spent a lot of my years under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and so I was, you know, being on an all male ship. You know, you obviously can't. I didn't have any feminist characteristics, but I did relay my. Eventually, people I worked with started to know. Right, Eddie was one of the first people started to know, and so rumor did spread around the ship that, hey, you know, Eric's gay, but it wasn't the things. It didn't get to like a higher level of leadership. Meaning it didn't get to the wrong people, the people that could actually do something about me being gay. At that time, obviously, you could be kicked out for Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Wow.
One of the things that, and I don't know if I ever told Eddie this story or not, but Don't Ask, Don't Tell was pretty rough. It was a lot rougher for me off the ship than it was on the ship. So when I left the ship, and I left the ship in about 2009, me and Eddie both went to Colorado from 2009 to 2012, I believe. And so that period of time was really a rough patch for me, because at the time I was dating a guy from Belarus. Now, if you don't at the time I was like, Belarus is a country. So if you don't know, Belarus is right next to Russia, and we can see all the anti-Russian sentiment we have nowadays. Well, a lot of that was happening back in the day too. And so I was dating this guy, and he had immigrated there not too long ago. Was in Colorado going to school to be a financial accountant. And so I was pretty paranoid because at the time, me and Eddie we worked in the intelligence field. And so you had to report everybody that who you came into contact with, like a foreign contact. But my issue was, well, I can't report this guy because I would have to explain to them
like
what
how
my
you
relationship,
know him.
how I know him.
Oh man.
And so I was caught in a rock and a hard place saying, look, if I don't report this guy, if somebody sees me with him and he has a heavy Russian accent, and so that would be two birds with one stone. Hey, how do you know this guy? I can't say it because, okay, if I tell them that he's my boyfriend, then they're going to kick me out of the military. But at the same time, I'm supposed to report him because he is a foreign national. And so that was the roughest time for me in the military because I was always so paranoid that I was gonna run into somebody for work when I'm out in town in the grocery store, going to the amusement park, just out in public in general. I would have to explain how I know this guy. Right. And so it was a lot of tension between us because, he moved to America to get away from that. Belarus, you got executed for being gay.
I'm like, they're
really
you over there for that stuff. Man.
Yeah, they're really strict. And so, he moves to get away from all of that. And then here he is running into me, somebody in the military. We're like, I got to hide you. I can't take you out in public because I may be, lose my career over that. And so a lot of that was like I said, the biggest, roughest patch in my career. But shortly after that, Obama repealed "Don't Ask, Don't Tell," which I think is a great thing. Who you sleep with should not determine your military capabilities or anything like that. So I think it was a silly rule. Bill Clinton had put that rule in to kind of appease both sides. Well, gays can kind of be in here, but not really. So "Don't Ask, Don't Tell" was kind of like a compromise.
Yeah, just kind of like, don't tell me because I don't want to know if you are.
Right. But at the opposite end of that spectrum, if you got people, especially in the military with Christian heavy backgrounds, they could do, because I was always afraid of being like subject to a witch hunt. Why is Eric not have a girlfriend? Who's this guy he's walking with? And so don't ask, don't tell. If you run into the wrong person, they might pursue that, and being under a witch hunt. So yeah, that was a rough patch in my Navy career, but I got through it. I'm glad that for future people that they don't have to experience that type of situation, that type of lifestyle. So
yeah, man, that's crazy. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't even imagine. It's like, what do you know, Eric? We met at Starbucks. He liked the same latte that I enjoyed.
Like, is Eric the Russian spy?
Right? It's like they gonna bring Eric in and start waterboarding. It's like, where do you know him from? It's like, we just had lattes.
Oh, that's my boyfriend. Oh no, you out. We're doing the paperwork. You out. Can't have none of that.
Oh my god, I couldn't even imagine, man.
But no, that's a good question though. It's good to hear that type of story, especially for the generation who doesn't have to experience that and kind of take for granted for the stuff that we have now and the things that our community is kind of pushing with the cancellation and stuff like that. It's almost like if you're not on board, then you get canceled. And I think that's the wrong position that we as a collective community should not be pushing.
Yeah.
I keep saying we as a community because I'm always grouped in, even though I hate it. But if I'm going to be grouped in, then I am going to give my input on what the direction that we should or should not be going in.
And you know what? And I apologize too, because I don't want you to feel like I'm just like, well, let me talk to Eric because he's gay and he's going to be the representative for every gay person in the world. It's like,
no, this is a good conversation.
It's like I really don't know anybody that it openly. I really don't know anybody. So it's like I be having questions sometimes, and I'll be like,
because Mike, it's the way, like I said, the way we grew up with, this is his friend.
Yeah, it was.
That's what we grew up with. We grew up with, and you come on now. We all like
Like that
family.
was
No, let me say a family member of mine, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Family member of mine. When he was a little boy, we would be out there playing street football, and he'd be doing double dutch with the girls. So at an early age, by some of the things that he was doing, we knew that he might, he might swing that way a little bit. So as he got older, wasn't nobody surprised. And then nobody hold nothing against, you know what I'm saying? Then nobody hold nothing against him. It's like, you just know that he got a friend.
He's special. That's
yeah.
I'm telling you,
that's how we grew up.
That's how we grew up.
Friend.
No. Your cousin, like if your cousin or uncle or whatever was gay, it was always he was special.
No, that boy was gonna be different.
It was or he's different.
I'm telling you, he gonna be different.
They never really talked about what was it that
and that's how
what it was that made him different. So you were always in the dark about it a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Especially on Southside Chicago.
Oh,
Southside Chicago. That's
what's that?
You're gonna grow up with a rough, tough talking father, and they're gonna be the first ones that's gonna notice things, and they're gonna just tell your mother, like, if you're that way, you're gonna tell, like, I'm telling you such, he's gonna be different. I'm gonna have to watch out for him a little bit more than I would have to watch out for my other son, because he's gonna be different. But that's where we grew up. But I never had a problem with gay people. I never did, because I had so many in my family. So and I'm into house music, and
and that's a good point, Phil. And there's always going to be kind of the ones that are kind of where you can kind of tell that he's probably, but then there are a lot of I think even the straight community is surprised, but there is a lot of BL people, especially in the Black community.
Listen,
yes, sir.
Listen, sir. Look, I'm going to tell you. I had a buddy that I hung out with, and this is why to me it was always kind of like the world is just so strange. I had a guy that I used to work with some years ago, and he was probably the most feminine acting dude that I've ever met in my life. And this is not even an exaggeration. He had the mannerisms and how he talked and it's just everything about him was like, you hang out with a lot of women, right? And he loved shopping. And I know that's not an indication of being gay because you like shopping, but he loved shopping, and he was very, very astute when it came to fashion and all these things. And I'm just like, this dude is gay. But every other month he was telling me stories of how he broke up with his girl, and this guy he always had one of the baddest chicks. I'm like, how are you pulling these women? And it's just like, and I asked him, and it was funny because I asked him one time, I said, hey man, I need you to be honest with me. I said, are you gay? I don't care. I'm just saying. And he was like, he said, no, why would you ask that? I said, really? And so I just started kind of telling him, and he was like, he said, man, nah. He was like, I just grew up in a house full of women and this, that, and the other. And you
do got some men that grow up with they're not gay. They just have feminine ways. And there is, you know what I'm saying? But some you can tell by. That's why I say I'm conflicted with that born this way or somebody change you this way. I'm conflicted because I've seen some at a young age where it's like Eric, you can just tell. And more than likely that was the end result,
So then, since we're here, I kind of want to go into that. Do you feel personally that a person, it's a two-part question. Well, I guess I need to know, first of all, where do you stand in regards to religion, or like, what's your belief system? Do you have a belief system? Do you believe in God? That's number one. And then number two, do you feel that a person can be or is born that way?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I think people can be born that way. I think I it's kind of hard to explain because I don't know if attraction is really something that is natural or something that is kind of learned. And what I mean by that is that I think a lot of people. So I have a cousin, for instance. She considers herself, I forget the term. See how bad I'm with my own community, but she doesn't have an
That's because
attraction
y'all.
to.
Let me tell you this. That's because y'all have too many doggone
We
terminologies.
do. We have too many.
I swear to God, it's every. I can't keep up with them, Eric. It's like it's a new pronoun and it's a new term, and I'm like, well, what does that mean? I'm just learning this one, and it's like, what do we do? So yeah, but I understand that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, Mike,
Yeah,
relax,
she
man.
is. I think the way she identifies herself, I think, is more closer to what we as humans. Of course, we have the animalistic side. At the end of the day, we're animals, but we do have a level of understanding that uh, a lot of animals don't have. There's some exceptions. Dolphins, pigs are very intelligent, but her thing is she's not attracted to sex. She's attracted to personality, and that personality could be with a
Oh,
man
I've heard
or a
about that.
woman. She's just attracted by how you present yourself, how you carry yourself. And I think that's actually a great example because I've had some experience, growing up. For instance, I had a manager, female manager, very good looking, was always nice, presenting herself, and I had like a little, how you kind of get butterflies in your stomach when that person comes around that you kind of like, and you're
Yeah.
like, and at that time I was in high school working, I already knew I'm gay. I'm like, why do I have this kind of attraction towards her? And it
Eric was
wasn't just
killing her.
that she was good looking; it was her personality. She was always friendly. She was nice.
Mm-hmm.
She did a lot of things for me, as far as getting things done and getting me promoted and stuff like that. And so
Okay, I got
I
another
think there
stupid
is.
question. I'm just letting you know.
Uh-huh.
I said I got another stupid question. I'm just letting
Oh,
you know.
okay.
Go ahead.
So I think there is a level within humans that we do find attraction no matter what sex it is. And that
Mhm.
attraction is based off of personality and how you carry yourself. So I think what she identifies my cousin is, I think it's more towards we as a humanity probably
Mhm.
can kind of relate to. I think when we get so tied up into we're supposed to be with a female, we're supposed to be with a male, that type of mentality, what's acceptable, how does society view what's acceptable for me? I think we've kind of getting out of that. And so I think that's probably where we're closer at. Now to your other question, as far as does it, hopefully that made sense. But to your other question, as far as religion, so I did grow up in the church. Like I said, I went down to North Carolina. Those country states, the Bible Belt,
Yes, that's
and
the
so I would go to
Bible Belt.
Bible Belt. And so I would
Yeah.
go to church and do the praise and worship thing. Now I personally wasn't very religious because I would always go home to my mom who's not religious at all. My mother
Mhm.
was more of those spirituality type people,
Yeah.
oh that everybody you would think she didn't do drugs, but you think she's one of those people that's always high and oh everything's beautiful. But she was one of those type of persons. So, like I said, you're a product of your environment. And so had she been more Christian like and went to church, I think that would have probably been instilled in me, but it wasn't.
Mhm.
And so as far as Christianity, I'm not a Christian or anything like that. Um, I do respect religion. I think religion does carry a very important aspect in our society. And so I do support it because it does teach us a lot of good things. Do unto others, as you should be done. Don't steal, don't all that type of stuff. We kind of
Mhm.
based our laws around those principles, as far as how we should act as a society. So religion is very important. Now there are some ugly periods dealing with religion, the Crusades and stuff like that. I'm sure Eddie's going to probably talk about some of that in his next book. But I think overall, it does present us with a code of morals and standards that we should all adhere to. So I think it's important, and I support that religious aspect of it. So hopefully that answered your question. It was a
And
tough one.
it did. Well, no, but that's why I asked. The reason why I asked that is because, again, just to kind of give you an understanding of how my mind works, right? In regards to people being um being born gay rather than it be a learned behavior. I've always been conflicted with that because as a Christian or as a believer, you believe that God is infallible. You believe that He is
Mhm.
without mistake, right? And that he's perfect because that's it's God and He made
Mhm.
all this great and wonderful stuff. And so I'm always conflicted with people being born like that. I'm like, well, why would he do that? Why would he make people like that, have them to be born like that, and then put in the Bible and talk about how he abhors that type of behavior? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So that's something that I've always been conflicted with, and it's
Mhm.
just like so I like when people say, "Well, do you think people can be born like that?" I'm like, I don't know. I think now I'm of the mindset whereas it's like I don't know, man. It's just one of those things, I was brought up and I was brought up believing that it's something that was learned. That's why you didn't let your boys play with girl things like dolls and stuff like that because it's behavior that they pick up. I had
Mhm.
sisters. I had no choice but to braid dolls' hair
Oh my
because
God, Mike.
I, I,
Mike,
I had no choice. But
my God.
listen,
Mike,
if,
you did your sister about how the head?
yes, the Barbie feel. I can French braid to this day. Do you understand what I'm saying? Listen, I had two older sisters and one younger sister. My
I can
younger
see you
sister,
sit in the middle of the floor, man.
listen, and I'm sitting up there and we talking and I'm combing Barbie's hair and how was this? That needs to be tighter. All right, and I redo it. Dude, I used to. I'm telling you, these are the things I did. If I wanted my little sister to play with me, I had to play with. Bro, there was
Oh,
too
oh,
many.
oh, Mike, let me the significant other walked in, the colonizer. So let me, Nick,
Oh my God. I
Nick.
can't look at the man. He said call him that. I can't look at this man now.
Oh,
Yeah,
we want to.
yeah,
Let's
Mike.
get your viewpoint on. Do you think people are born gay? What do you think about that? Here, come here, come here. Come here.
I know he is like, what is going on?
Well, just answer the question real quick. So this is Nick, my significant other. Oh, can I see you?
I
Oh,
can't
cool.
see him because of the light. No offense, Nick. I'm
Oh,
not
come
being
over this way.
conservative
Oh,
for being
because I'm
white.
too
I just
late.
really can't see you.
Well, do you think people are born gay? What do you think?
I mean, I think so because I've heard evidence that abnormal hormones in the womb permit make you more likely to be of that persuasion.
Hmm.
So you wonder? Probably. I have a defective mama.
So I guess he thinks it's a birth defect. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe. Okay.
He's like, man, stop putting me on the spot. I just got in the door.
He said just walked in. Why you
Yeah.
asking me all this
I just
like that?
walked in. What is going on?
Leave me alone.
I do want to I do want to iterate, Nick, that you are live. So I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, you're live.
This is live.
This is
Appreciate
live.
it. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
And good to see you all too.
yeah. It's good to see you too. We've heard a
I'm gonna,
lot of
Yeah, we've heard a
about you,
lot
man.
about you.
All good things. All good
oh,
things. Yeah, yeah,
Good things. No, I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
Okay. Eric is a good person. I appreciate him. He makes dinner every night.
I
So
heard
I'm gonna
he's
take
always
a
bragging
shower.
about him cooking.
Okay. All
All
right.
right. It was good meeting you.
It's good meeting you too, man. It's nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Yeah, y'all finally met him. The one I always talk about.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, man, that's what my conflict comes into play. It was always something that I felt was a learned behavior, and I'll be like, "You're not born that way. That's something you picked up. You got turned out in college. It's like something crazy like that." And but now, man, I just don't know. And because as a Christian, sometimes I think that we're just so hard on the gay community, and it's just like I just wonder sometimes, like if you like when you look at the churches, is always gays is this and gays is that. And it's like, yeah, but that's not the only sin in the Bible. And it's like, but that seems to be the one that we harp on the most. And it's just like, why would God put people through that? Why would he make them a certain way and then say, I don't like them? It's like, but you made them that way. So I don't know, man. There's just one of those things that I'm going to probably always have a question about, and until maybe the Lord himself just give me clarity on it. So I was just interested in your point, in your perspective. Here's my stupid question. Is there a woman that if you were not gay, you saw her and was like, okay, yeah, she can get it. Like it can be a celebrity or whatever. Like, is there anybody that even now you look at, you be like, yeah, all right. If the colonizer wasn't here, I might have to holler at her real quick. You can be honest. It's no judgment.
I had a thing for Alicia Keys back in the day. I think she was, I think she was really good looking. I think Alyssa Milano from Charmed, she was good looking back in the day. So there's attraction out there. So and that kind of goes back to what I was saying, where maybe attraction isn't so cut and dry.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
thanks, man. Alicia Keys, she's a winner. That's I always told my wife, look, if she ever came to the door and said, you got to get out, listen, you got to go.
I'll tell you something, man. I'll tell you something. I've been telling Jackie since 1998. Let L Boogie say, come on.
Lauryn Hill. Like,
in fact, Mike, I would say this: your sister, she's easy on the eyes. I'll put it that way.
Listen, Eric, I've gotten to many fights because of her. Many fights.
He definitely turned some heads. I was saying, if I wasn't gay, I might be trying to holler myself.
And you know what? And she's one of them people that got, that got that personality. You know what I'm saying? That being physically attractive, it's a plus, but she's one of those people that has that personality that you just be like, man. Because it's one
of those. She reminds me of those people because there's kind of two different types of people. The people that are really good looking and know and act like it, which is a big turn off for me. And then the people are really good looking that don't really know and act like it. It's kind of like they it's not that they don't think they're attractive. It's just like they don't use it to their advantage. So
right.
They're humble. They're humble in it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of how she is too, man. Because she be making me say, I gotta lose 10 pounds. I'm like, are you trying to get down to your birth weight again? I'm like, what are we doing? What are we really doing? I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, man, I've gotten into a couple of fights over her. Listen, let me ask you, because you mentioned earlier that you were
Eddie,
gay.
I'll say this too before you ask your question. Eddie and Tina were head turners back in the day too. Not anymore, but they were head turners back in the day. Let me tell you, both of them.
Eric, relax, Eric. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Time out.
He just said not anymore, but I'm
not
just
anymore.
saying.
They age caught up to him, but back in the day, woo.
He said there was head turns back in the day. Not anymore, but
not anymore.
Not anymore though. I'm sorry. Wow.
Y'all are oh my God.
That's crazy.
Eric is something else, man.
He just went, see, this is why. Listen, I know Eddie is like, what? Look, I know he comments something right now. He waiting. I already know. But look,
he called me a ninja.
He said, you got Eric right now. Tina, this ninja just said
what did you hear? How dare he? That's funny.
Let me see. Eric and Tina said, wow.
I know.
Tina said, wow, Eric.
I'm
I'm
sorry, Mike.
sorry.
What was your question?
Look, I'm like, whoa! Oh my god, hilarious. So look, let me ask you. Now you mentioned earlier that you were by the time you were in high school that you were kind of out. Did you like how was that? Because like I hear the horror stories when it comes to especially our black men when they come out or when they came out, just how their family was just how a lot of them were just disowned, and it was just like just the worst experience ever.
Mhm.
What was that like for you? Did you have a moment where you came out, or did your family kind of already know and was like, yeah, we know? Or what was that like?
Yeah, my family. Well, I think my closest family knew. Especially my mom. She knew at a young age because back when you had that dial up internet and the choo choo choo. So I would that
Oh
connecting
my
you
God.
have mail, y'all look.
America
You have mail.
Online.
So I would at a young age I would start going to certain websites. And, my mother has an IT background. That's she's been doing IT almost her entire life. And so, she kind of set me aside one day. She's like, "Hey, you need to stop going to this website." So at that point, I was probably about 11 or 12, around about that age.
Hold
So at
on, hold
that
on, hold
point,
on, hold
she's
on, hold
kind of
on.
subtly. Oh, go ahead.
Your mom peeped your web history.
Mhm.
It was like, hey,
Something
You,
going on.
you
Something
got to stop
right.
going to websites.
this is why
Yeah.
see, this is why I be telling Phil, when Phil be sitting up here messing up, it's like, Mike, something wrong with my computer. It's like, get off, stay off the hub
Mike,
before you
Stay off the
Mike,
before
hook.
you
Mike,
you
Mike.
gotta
You know
stay off
what,
the hub
Mike,
before you go
Mike,
online, Phil.
Mike, relax,
You know,
relax.
Phil was that type of dude that would wait up until 10 o'clock and watch Cinemax and didn't have the filter. So like the picture would be distorted and he would like wait.
Ooh, man, let me tell you, we was a shorty. That's what after 10 o'clock, the Ziggly thing. Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
hey, the Cinemax was jumping after
Stop it,
10.
man.
I'm sorry,
Everybody,
go ahead, man.
every little boy did that. I
every
don't
every
care.
little guy
Every little
did
boy
that.
did that. You thought you
This is
saw something.
why. This is why you
Yeah.
need
So
somebody
so
that when you get in trouble, they can, hey, I need you to delete my
All right. And I call myself
social.
delete my history, but again, my mother, she
No.
has an IT background, so that
Right,
that
right.
didn't
She
work.
knew how to check that
Hey,
stuff.
She
man.
knew how. Yeah. So that was a kind of a two-part thing where she's suddenly telling me like I know, and
Mhm.
then at the same time it's like legitimately you need to stay off the websites. So kind of a two-part thing. And so at that moment, I kind of knew that the cat was out of the bag. But and I think from that moment on, that it kind of spread to other family members. She mentioned it, or probably like a normal person would. Hey, can I get some advice on how to handle this and stuff like
Yeah.
that? So, but it was never something that was talked about. It was just something that was just kind of known and
It's
assumed,
like, yeah.
at least to my immediate family circle. And so it didn't really come out until years after, probably 2000, around the time I got to San Diego, probably about 2015.
Mhm.
When my mother, she actually stayed with me in San Diego for a few months, and then she met my partner at the time and stuff like that. So that's when it really started to get the ball
Uh,
rolling and kind of normalizing everything. And my mother's, like I said, she's not very religious; she's more spiritual, so she was always going to be cool with it to
okay.
begin with. And so that's kind of how it really started to ball rolling. And then because of the don't ask, don't tell too, I didn't want to risk putting that
Right.
stuff out there. So that happened right after, about 4 years after Don't Ask, Don't Tell and everything. Um, I guess I got old enough to where I got to eventually you get old enough to where you get to a point where I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm a grown ass man. And what are you going to do about it? So here it is. Here it is. You do what you want to do with it. I'm going to continue to do me. So I think that's where it is. But like I said, I think it's a lot different now with the generation growing up. It's a lot easier to express yourself and to try to do those type of things. The one thing I would say, and this um, maybe another topic for another show, but the gender reaffirming topic that's going on right now is it's a I don't believe doing stuff without a parent's consent, and I think a lot of people were starting to go down this road where a lot of stuff is being done to children without the parents' consent, and I think we need to take a look at that and review it and see. I think the biggest thing is if you're going to do that type of stuff, I think you should be 18 or at least an adult, just because a lot of that stuff is you change could be life altering. You can't go back once it's done. And
Yeah.
so I think that's one of the big topics in our community right now is that gender reassignment and stuff like that. So, a huge topic, probably enough for another show. See, we're running out of time here, but it's one of those things where I do push back on my community regarding that subject.
That's another one too, man. I don't know. I guess my issue with that is well, it's a couple of things with that, and then even with people wanting or encouraging their children to get have like these life altering surgeries at such a young age, and it's just like, well, how is it? Like I never understood the logic, whereas you're pushing so that your 12, 13, 14-year-old can have these life-altering surgeries, because they feel whatever it is that they feel, and you want them, okay, that's fine. But with in the same breath, if a 13, 14-year-old male went to the doctor today and said, listen, I want to start a, or you going with his parents and they say, hey, I want my son to start a steroid regimen because he's small and, he wants to get bigger, and because the other kids, like whatever the case, he just feels like he's not where he should be in terms of stature, whatever, make him feel better about himself. Doctors won't do it.
Right.
They won't do it. Yeah. Same thing with a young lady. It's like you 12, 13, and she wants to have breast augmentation. They're not going to know. It's like, why would you want to do that? But these same doctors are trying to encourage people to say, yeah, but bring your kids in, let them have change, let them get these sex changes and everything. And it's just like, it makes it feel like there is some kind of agenda that people are really trying to push. And it's just like, what are we really doing? Like, what are we doing? So you're right. That's a conversation for another show. Listen, if there are two misconceptions about the gay community or being gay that you would address, what would those two things be? Like two of what you think are two of the biggest misconceptions that you see that people may have a misunderstanding or some misguided idea about the gay community or being homosexual. What are those misconceptions that you would like to address and give people a different perspective on?
I think one of the misconceptions is kind of like what we were talking about earlier, is the stereotyping. I think maybe we've gotten to a point where it's not as easy to stereotype, because you see someone, we talk about like flaming, and says, okay, that guy's gay, but in reality is a lot of gay people out there you see walking, you wouldn't be able to tell either way. And so a big misconception is that all the gay community is a femme and they like girly type stuff, and which is, if you look at me, I love cars. I love all the things that people would refer to as like a masculine type thing. So I think that's a big misconception within the gay community, is that we're all a bunch of flaming Cheetos, going shopping and doing all this other stuff, which is not the case. The other misconception is that I, as you guys know, I'm very political with my posts. I post some crazy stuff sometimes, and I think that a big misconception is when we look at the whether we're looking at the left or the right, a lot of the misconceptions, I think, is that we've kind of brought ourselves on the left as far as identifying that with like culture issues, what bathrooms people should be using, should drag queens be reading to kids, and those aren't really left-wing issues. Those are cultural wars. When I think about the left-wing issues, I think about, why are we paying so much in the grocery store?
Yes.
We don't have health care.
We talk about that, please. Jesus.
We don't have college isn't free. These kids nowadays are end up in college with. Oh, did you? I was like, it looked like another mic was joining.
I'm like, that was weird. I'm sorry.
People paying thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to college, and so they get out of college and they have over $100,000 in debt, while they go to school and get maybe a $50,000-$60,000 job, and they're stuck having to pay that. And so those are kind of the left-wing issues that I think we need to revisit and stop associating with this culture war stuff as being left-wing things when they aren't. And so I think those are the big misconceptions as far as what is people, because people automatically think that, oh, you're gay, you're on the left. Well, no, it depends on what your policies are. Left and right is based off of policies, not culture wars. So I think those are the two biggest misconceptions that we make about the gay community.
Okay, Eric, look, man, it's
Thank
so
you,
much
man.
more.
Thank you
It's
for
so much
coming
more
on.
that we could have dove into, but this was. I first of all, I appreciate you.
Thank
I
you
appreciate
so
your
much.
honesty, and I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your openness, and I hope that the things that we did talk about and the things that because it's so many more layers that we can go into, but I hope that this was something that people can go back and watch and hopefully just have a different perspective, on
I hope that you
on
folks in the clouds got something out of this conversation tonight.
the clouds.
The folks that's watching in the clouds, I hope they got something out of this conversation tonight.
Why would they be in the clouds? What are we talking about?
The folks watching from the clouds, meaning they're watching us, but they haven't clicked on to us. That's what folks watch from the clouds mean. They're not clicking on to the live. They're just.
I thought you was talking about people that didn't passed on. I'm like, wait, what are we talking?
Mike, relax, Mike. See,
what are we talking about? Look, for those y'all that's watching us above, we just want to say, I'm like,
no. For those that
Okay.
watch from the clouds, I hope you all got something from this conversation. This was a good conversation tonight.
yeah, man. This was definitely different, and I appreciate it. And we're gonna have to have you back on again, man.
Yes, sir.
When a new pronoun is announced, so you can come on and explain to us what is this pronoun, Eric? What is them, zers, and zars? And I don't know.
LG.
In most cases, your guess would be as good as mine. Like I said, my card is about to be revoked. In fact, it should have been revoked a long time ago.
LGBTQ
Plus. It's actually, yeah, it's
it's another one also, right, Eric?
No.
LGBTQIA. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, and queer.
What the heck? All right, man. All right, I'm not. No, I'm.
Yeah.
We already treading water right now in this conversation. All right, man.
I saw somebody put something on it was so funny, and he was, and I think I shared that post. He was like, "Okay, I know what LBGT is." He was, "I know what LBGTQ is." He said, "But it's LBGTQ plus the premium version of gay." I thought that was hilarious. What?
I'm not gonna laugh at that. I'm gonna save this podcast and not laugh at that.
You can't tell me that's not funny. That was
but I'm
that
not gonna
was
laugh at
funny. All right, it was just I thought it was funny.
Well,
Anyway.
I can't. I'm still going to school right now. I can't identify as anything premium. I identify as poor. That's what. That's my only identification right now.
Say, I identify as struggling. That's what I
identify as struggling. Exactly.
That's my pronoun right now.
Eric said he don't know nothing about no premium, man.
They asked me what my pronouns is. Struggling. Trying to make it. That's what my pronoun is.
Broke. The colonizer isn't broke, but I ain't. He had to pillage and plunder to get to where he is. I need to follow suit. But no, this has been a really good conversation, so I appreciate it. And anytime you guys want to invite me on, I'll definitely be on.
Yeah, man, absolutely. You always
thanks a lot, bro. For real, man.
We appreciate you. Listen, that is going to be it for us on today. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. If you all don't do nothing else with your cheap sales, I at least need you to like, tag, and share this video. It's free, people. Like, tag, and share.
Free 99.
It's free 99. It only take you a few seconds to tap a couple of icons and share this video, or type somebody's name in the comments that you think might enjoy this conversation, or may get something out of this conversation. This is why we do this, Phil. This is why. I can talk about all the crazy stuff that's going on in the world, but it's conversations like this that need to be had.
But that's what we said. That's what we said when in the beginning. That's what we want to do. We want to have conversations that a lot of folks don't want to talk about,
don't want to have, or too afraid to have. Look. I'm gonna tell you, Eric. I told Phil. I said before I said, now look, dude. If you
listen to this dumbass, Eric.
It's not. Look, I said, Phil. Now listen. If if you don't want to be in on tonight's episode, I get it. Because everybody ain't comfortable with having certain conversations.
Yeah, this Negro called me a couple of days ago. I'm like, right now, if you want to take the day off,
I just said, listen,
if you through my family, man.
I was like, look, if you want to go and help your cousin in Alaska,
I knew nothing about Ralph Lawrence. I knew nothing about Gucci. I knew nothing about Louis Vuitton. I learned all that from a gay person. A gay person dressed me in high school.
First off, Mike, I gotta push back on that a little bit, because Phil has been supportive of all my comments, even more so than you. Sometimes.
But see, Phil,
but let's be real, Eric. We all got them in our family, but it's like me and Mike grew up different. We grew up in the 70s. Back then, you didn't.
Phil was 20 years younger.
You know what?
I wouldn't have told him that. Because
but if we was younger, it'd be different. But he know that's why I didn't really get offended. I was like, oh no, I'm just making sure. I was like, no, dude. I said, come on, man. We know they all through your family. You just don't talk about it.
I was extending him a courtesy because this is why. Because there have been some times when we was gonna talk about this. He said, Mike, listen, I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm gonna let you talk. I'm just gonna sit back and listen.
Well, to Phil's point, I agree with actually what he says, because that goes back to the cancel culture. If you say the wrong thing about that community, you will be taken down so fast. So I think that's where Phil is coming from. Not that he's homophobic or anything like that. It's just that we have that, and that's one of the things with the kind of going back to that cancel culture is people feel they can't say what is actually on their mind. And they can't do and express themselves for fear of being canceled. And so Phil kind of brings up a good point. If you even the conversation that we just had just now, if we're not careful, you guys will be okay because you have a representative. I still have my card right now, but it may be in danger.
Right.
But you guys, you are covered if Facebook comes back and say we don't like your language. No, we actually have somebody from the community on the show.
Exactly.
On the show. And
Eric, I grew up on house and hip hop. And
I don't know why he keeps mentioning that.
Because if you was going to a lot of clubs that play house music back in the 90s, you was partying with gay people. You was partying with gay people. You was like the club. Me and Jackie was going to this club called the Warehouse on House of the Randolph.
Follow me.
All the clubs, man. Like you like.
I can see Phil right now. Follow me.
That's why I spin house music. That's the only music I spin is house music.
I know it's all good, man. But again, it wasn't because I thought he was homophobic. I just know that like you said, Phil is like, man, because he tells me all the time. He was like, Mike, people a lot of times Phil don't say a lot of the stuff that he wants to say because he doesn't want people to come back on us and be like, well, you guys said this. That's why I say a lot of it, because I can take the backlash. I can take the people, I've been told that I bash women, I bash the church, I've been called homophobic and so many other things, man. And it's just like, well, that's because you just didn't understand where I was coming from. And then some people just don't like to be called on their BS too. And so they try to flip it and say, oh, you bashing. No, I'm not bashing.
That.
But I just wanted to, I did tell him that because I was like, I don't know. And he was like, man, I got gay people in my family. I'm good. I was like, all right. Well, hey,
Did y'all see Eddie's comment? Talk about Phil wasn't on the last time he was on. What's that? Does that mean you don't like black people, Phil? Is that what that means?
Yes, Eddie. I have a problem with educated black men.
He said that.
So I boycott that show that you was on because I have a problem with very smart black men.
Oh my God.
No, brother Eddie the man, that's my dude.
Yeah.
But no, like I said, Eric, man, I have no problem with gay folks. I didn't, once you see it, and it's like I'm like this, bro. Hey, man, who am I? I'm not God. It's not up to me to judge the next person. Love who you love, man, and I love who I love. Just because I don't live your lifestyle, I'm in no position to judge your lifestyle or put you down because of your lifestyle. So this is how I am, man.
Yeah,
you, I'm gonna do me.
Exactly.
And just be happy.
Exactly.
And that's really why I wanted to have this conversation too, man, because it's just like I said earlier, I'm of the mindset of getting a better understanding, but I'm also of the mindset of just trying to live and let folks live.
Yeah.
So if what you do ain't detrimental to me and it's not detrimental to my family or to our well-being, then God bless you. You know what I'm saying? But you have some people just like,
yeah, and that's a good and that's a good point. You know, I had an aunt, a Christian, very, like most of my family, down in the South, and she says, say, you guys probably have heard it and said it yourselves. She said, I personally, I don't have a heaven or hell to put you in. That's up to God. So who am I to judge on what you do?
I can't judge. Dude, look, I'm gonna barely make it in if I make it in. So who am I gonna say? Eric, boy, he going straight to hell. Listen, I know some church folks right now that's gonna bust the bottom out of hell.
None of us in position on a high horse to look down on nobody, man. We all flawed. We are all flawed on this earth.
Ain't none of us perfect, man. I can't. There's no way that I can condemn you. As long as you treat me with respect, then I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the same in kind, because it's just what you do. We were taught that, man. You treat others the way you want to be treated, and it's just like if I really had to like the stuff that you post, I laugh at it because it's funny. It's like, now if I really had an issue, man, I'd be deleting them comments so quick. I'd be like, this guy comment, but man, no, I appreciate it. It's funny to me.
Hey, how we roll, man.
No, we don't roll like that. But again, man, I thank you for coming on, and I appreciate your openness. I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your point of view. And man, we're gonna have to have this conversation again, bro.
Thank you. No, I appreciate being on the show. Like I said, hit me up anytime. I'll definitely come on again.
Absolutely. Look, I may have to have Eddie on too, man. I need some Navy stories. I need some Navy stories.
Yes. My brother-in-law was stationed in Groton, Connecticut.
Okay. Yeah,
he was in the Navy. He was stationed in Groton, Connecticut.
I don't know why these comments aren't showing up. I'm gonna have to call StreamYard. Be like, hey man, my comments ain't showing up. I ain't been able to post a comment since Eddie said something about somebody being over zesty, and that was almost over an hour ago because no other comment has been showing up. So I don't know. I'll have to look into that. But look, that is our time for today. I appreciate all of you guys that hung out with us on today. Please remember to like, tag, and share this video. Listen, it's the weekend. Here in the weather's supposed to be pretty nice. If you ain't got nothing to do, go out and enjoy yourself. Go out and enjoy your family. If you one of them introverted type cats, it's all right. Stay home. Watch you some Netflix. Hey, that Godzilla Plus One is on Netflix right now. Or is it Godzilla Minus One? Listen.
I saw it. last weekend.
Yeah, it's legit, man.
It's good. It's good.
Like monster movies. Yo, please check that one out. It's a pretty good one. But that's gonna be it for us, man. I want to thank our guest Eric. Eric, how do you pronounce your last name?
Spate. Just
right,
just the letter, just the number 8 with an SP on it.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. Spate.
See, I was thinking Spike, but I'm like, maybe I don't know.
That's how most people pronounce it.
Is it really? Yeah. See,
yeah.
I ain't want to be most people. That's why I asked. I'm like, is it Spike? I don't know. Okay, Spake, cool. Listen, I want to thank our guest, Eric Spake, for coming on and hanging out with us on today. I want to thank, of course, my co-host, Mr. Philip Hines, aka Mr. Class, aka OG Triple OG, for hanging out with us on today. And listen, man, y'all enjoy y'all weekend. You be safe and check in on some peoples. You know, I keep telling y'all, some folks are sitting in their house right now, thinking don't nobody care about them, thinking don't nobody love them. Y'all check in on your people. Check in on folks. Text somebody. It don't take you nothing to text nobody. It's unlimited now. We don't pay for text anymore.
No.
Some of y'all don't listen. Some of y'all
I don't
remember.
know. You speak for yourself. Some people still got that.
I swear, Eric. Why?
Hey, you remember the
Some of these
you
people
remember
still
free
got
nights
Boost
a week?
Mobile and stuff like that. So speak for
I
yourself.
know. Listen.
Y'all remember
now,
free nights and
actually,
weekends?
I just about to say right now though it's after 7 o'clock. They texting some stuff. I'm like, yeah, what you doing?
Boy, after 7 o'clock on a Friday?
Woo, Charlie.
I'm calling everybody.
Hey man, what's up? Hey man, hey, let me hang up. Hey, you hang up and I'll call.
Man, I
you
got
back.
to
My minute
Sunday.
free.
I'm
All
calling
right,
everybody.
I got till Sunday, son. We talking until listen. I ain't hanging up this phone no time.
Nah. We're gonna talk for about at least an hour.
We're gonna talk for at least an hour about nothing. I'm just gonna sit you right here while I go watch
I've been
dishes.
talking to you like 4-5 minutes all week long.
What was it? Free nights and weekends. Remember
Free
that?
nights and
Free nights and
weekends, boy.
weekends.
Started at 7 o'clock Friday evenings. It didn't end until what was it? Was it Monday morning or when did it go back into?
No, I think
that.
I think it was Monday morning, and it go back to your minutes.
Yeah, man. Woo, them was the times right there. I'm glad the Lord brought us out of that time because my goodness, that was hard.
Look, that who was that 28-year-old that y'all had on the show? He probably don't know anything about that. That might have been for his time.
Like, hey,
no.
Hey man, remember free nights and weekends?
No,
He'd be
he
like,
don't know nothing
what?
about that. He don't know nothing about no free nights and weekends.
Free nights and weekends? What's that? It's like
I don't even think he was around for the ringtone days.
Ooh, remember the ringtones when you used to sit by the TV waiting for your song? Like,
yeah, man. Oh, man. I'm so old. It's ridiculous, man. Jesus
you old, man.
Yeah. Hey, listen, homie. You catching up to me now. You relax.
I pray for you, Phil, because I'm like,
you ain't gotta pray for me. I'm good and healthy. I'm breathing.
Old.
I'm here.
Did you just breathe in?
How old are you? I'm not far, Mike. I'm not far behind you. How old are you?
No, man. No, I just turned 49 in April.
Oh wow. Oh, I didn't know I was that far behind. I thought she would be like 43 or 44.
No, did you see his reaction? Bro?
He's like, oh.
He's like, oh, you old.
Yeah, so you
Eddie age.
Eric, you 2000.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I'm almost half a century, son.
Eric is a DMX and all. Oh yeah, you came up in the street when it was like the streets and all. Oh yeah,
music was good.
Yeah.
He came up when music was good.
Stories and all. Yeah. That's Eric came up.
Anyway, we rambling. Listen, love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Have a great rest of your evening. Enjoy your weekend. And if we don't never talk again, or before we talk again, or next time we talk, we just gonna talk and have good conversations.
Get 2 fingers to the side, y'all.
You're getting these 2 fingers to the side. Make sure you holler at your boys because we're officially out.
Peace.